हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायश्च भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नष्टकी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। शिला गुरुदेव महाविष्णु गोसाई महाराज की जय। भगवत गीता एज टीच की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम पुराण की जय। श्री ईशोपनिषद की जय। टैगोर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा डियर डिवोटीज। First of all, thank you very much, His Grace Amrish Prabhu, Her Grace Pun Pragya Devi Dasi Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Smarpan Krishna Prabhu for organizing these wonderful programs and giving me the chance to share my realization. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much. Yeah. So we are on Sri Ishopanishad Mantra 15 today. We're going to recite and then we'll study. So I'll share my screen. Yes. Okay. All right. I will recite first and then I'll get devotees to recite after that. Yeah. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि तं मुखं तत्त्वं पुष्यन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये। हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि तं मुखं तत्त्वं पुष्यन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये। हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पुष्यन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये। ओके, हरे कृष्णा। well, see there. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll recite. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये। हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये। हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये।
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mayuresh Prabhu. Are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Can you recite the mantra?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पुरुषन् अपावृणु धर्माय दृष्टये हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु सत्या धर्माय दर्शते हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु सत्य धर्माय दृश्यते
Very nice.
दृष्टये.
Yeah, Drishtai. Thank you. Um, I think there's no other intermediate devotees are there. All right. So, word translation, translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, we'll start with word synonyms. I need a volunteer to read. Mahesh Prabhuji, are you all right to read?
Prabhu, I'm outside, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually working. So.
Right. Okay. No worries.
Guruji, I can read.
Yes, Mataji, you can read.
Hiranmayen by a golden effulgence. Patren by a dazzling covering. Satyasya of the supreme truth. Apihitam covered. Mukham the face. Tat that covering. Tvam yourself. Bhushan O sustainer. Apavrinu kindly remove. Satya pure. Dharmaya unto the devotee. Drishtaye exhibiting. By a golden effulgence, by a dazzling covering of the supreme truth, covered the face, the covering yourself, O sustainer, kindly remove pure unto the devotee for exhibiting.
Yes. So as we know how we study the verses, so from word to word synonyms, we derive the meaning of what's actually the verse is saying. So we can see that the first line, Hiranyamayena Patrena. So it says the golden, by a golden effulgence, by a dazzling covering, Hiranyamayena is golden. And Satya Sya Apitam. So of the supreme truth, covered. And Mukham, face. So his face is covered by this golden effulgence, dazzling effulgence. Tattvam Pussan Apavanu. So that covering yourself, Pussan is the word here to stand out, is O sustainer, means who sustains every living being. Apavanu, kindly remove. So it's a prayer. So devotee is asking, okay, that this dazzling covering, the golden effulgence, to remove the dazzling cover, so devotee can see the face. Satya dharmaya drishtaye. So Satya pure, dharmaya unto the devotees for exhibiting. Drishtaye, darshan. When you say drishtaye, to see. So so we can drive the meaning here that here is the prayer by the devotee who are asking the Supreme Lord to remove the dazzling covering, the effulgence, and to see exhibiting the face of the Supreme Lord. So let's see what's in the translation. Yes, Mataji.
O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee.
Yes. Yeah, so it's clear by the translation now that, oh my Lord, is like a prayer. The devotee is praying, oh my Lord, sustainer of all lives, all that lives. means Pusan here, the sustainer. Your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So while we studying the last mantra, we studied about the temporary nature of material world or material creation and the eternal nature of spiritual world. But here in this mantra, devotee is praying to the Lord to removing his dazzling covering, because in spiritual world the Lord is residing. So, and which is a golden effulgence, the dazzling covering. So in the eternal spiritual world, Lord is residing, and this mantra is prayer to this, to the Supreme Personality to reveal himself by removing his dazzling effulgence. So this dazzling effulgence is Brahma Jyoti, that's coming from the Supreme Lord's body. And the Supreme Lord is explained here, Pusan, the sustainer of all that lives, and his face is covered. So Srila Prabhupada are explaining these points in the purport as well. So by the translation, we can understand that this is a prayer, and there is a covering, there is a dazzling covering that covers the Supreme Lord. So yeah, so we have, it's a prayer to remove that, because it's very because different people like nanis, yogis, and philosophers, so they got different realizations of the Lord, and that we'll understand further in the purport where Srila Prabhupada are explaining these points. All right. So we'll go to the purport now. Okay.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 27, the Lord explains his personal rays, Brahma Jyoti, the dazzling effulgence of his personal form, in this way. Brahmano hi pratishtatam. Sorry. Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Prabhuji, can I recite it again?
Yeah.
Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha.
Very nice. Yeah, very good.
I'm the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan are three aspects of the same absolute truth. Brahman is the aspect most easily perceived by the beginner. Paramatma, the Supersoul, is realized by those who have further progressed. And Bhagwan realization is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 7, where Lord Krishna says that he is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. Mattaha parataram nanyat. Therefore, Krishna is the source of the Brahma Jyoti as well as the all-pervading Paramatma. Later in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 42, Krishna further explains.
Yeah. So we'll cover the first point here first,
Yes,
and
Prabhuji.
then we'll go to this one. So the first point here, Srila Prabhupada are explaining about the Supreme Lord is realized in three levels, the Brahman level, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. And this is confirmed in actually the verse here given by Srila Prabhupada is 14.27. We'll come to that also. But I'll just want to refer another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is said also in Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagvaniti Sabdyate. Translation: learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. So it's three stages. So there's a point in the purport. It says the same substance is realized at impersonal Brahman by the student of Upanishads. The most of the people in Upanishad, the students, they are thinking God as impersonal and like a Brahma Jyoti. They want to merge into it. As localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas or the yogis who do meditation on the Paramatma feature, and as Bhagwan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagwan or the personality of Godhead is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead, as the sun rays are to the sun god. Less intelligent students of either of the above schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization. But those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the above three features of the one absolute truth are different perspective views seen from different angles of vision. So here is clear that the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti realization, or is the partial realization. It's not the full realization of absolute truth, because as it says, it's three stages or three levels: Brahma Jyoti, then Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So so the first realization is impersonal Brahman. And this Brahman Jyoti is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because it's part of the absolute truth. So first realization is Brahma Jyoti. So where this Brahma Jyoti is coming, that's where Srila Prabhupada are giving this reference here from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 27, that we studied, that he said that and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness and which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that this statement of Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realization person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to the Paramatma realization, and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were situated first in personal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is of falling down in one if one is not engaged in devotional service of the Lord. So here is clear, as Srila Prabhupada is saying, that Brahman realization is partial realization, and why it is that. I'll just stop sharing this. Yes. So there is a risk of falling down from impersonal Brahman platform. As this verse confirms that the Brahman is made of immortality, imperishability, and eternity and happiness. But still, there is a risk of falling down from this stage. And Srila Prabhupada are saying that although he is transcendental to material position, but not actually perfect in Brahman realization. So the Brahman realization is not perfect realization. Although he knows that we are not body, we are spirit, soul. So he's transcendental to that level, but it's not still not perfect. And why is that? Because the Brahman is non-dual substance, is called Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. So unless one is not rise to devotion service platform, there is a risk of falling down because intelligence is not perfectly clear. So this is more clear in the next reference where Srila Prabhupada has given from chapter 7, verse 7. Because in this reference, Srila Prabhupada are referring that everything is based um, on Supreme Lord, you know. So this is also famous verse. Mattaha partaram nanya kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana iva. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on the thread. So, yeah, so the Supreme Lord, I'll just close that. Yeah. So the Supreme Lord is like thread where all the pearls are strung. The Lord is the basis of everything. Although there is a argument whether the supreme truth is personal or impersonal, because it's going on, because as Srila Prabhupada explained before, that sometimes these people who realize like Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, they argue in the favor of their realization that no, this is the supreme truth. He is Nirakar, Nirgun, all these words we have heard before. So the impersonalists stress on Nirakar Savrup of Brahman, but only devotee of the Lord knows that the full realization of the supreme truth is Bhagwan realization, because impersonal Brahman is coming from the Lord, it's coming from Bhagwan. So next point here is that Pusan, the ultimate maintainer, because in this mantra, Lord is advised as a Pusan, or because he is maintaining everyone by his planetary expansions. It will come next that he's not, although Lord is situated in his abode, but he's still managing all the affairs in this material world. How? By his planetary expansions. So that's why he's called as Pusan here, because he's maintaining everyone. He's not because as his Paramatma feature. So the next the next reference was Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 42, that describes this, that even a little fragment Lord can maintain everything. This is the point of Pusan, so we will just read this and then we'll discuss on that.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Your mic is off, Martin.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Athava bahunetena किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहम् इदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. But what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thus, by his one plenary expansion, the all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord, maintains the complete material cosmic creation. He also maintains all manifestations in the spiritual world. Therefore, in this Shruti mantra of Sri Upanishad, the Lord is addressed as Pushan, the ultimate maintainer.
Yes. So, yeah, this is the point, the Pusan point, that he's ultimate maintainer. So every atom of this world or this universe, Lord is present as a super soul, and maintains everything. Therefore, a devotee of the Lord is always aware of this fact and maintains the Krishna consciousness in full devotion service. And this is very simple process to seeing Krishna's hand or uh, everywhere. But devotion service or bhakti is mistaken often is lower than the other processes like yogi, meditation, and jnanis. So they think that bhakti is for the less intelligent people or lower people. But this is not the fact. But in reality, bhakti is the ultimate top process to realize the highest realization of the supreme truth as Bhagavan. And bhakti is simple but not cheap. That is very big difference between cheapness and simplicity. Because if devotional service is taken as cheaply, then it is not going to work. So it is uh, become like a sahajiya then. So yeah, so bhakti is although is mistaken by like, oh, is for those people who cannot do meditation, cannot do yoga, cannot do all those things. But ultimately, they also, the yogis and meditators, they also have to come to the devotional service to realize the full realization of the absolute truth. As Srila Prabhupada has given the example of four Kumaras. They were situated before in Brahman realization, but then gradually they progressed to the devotional service. And there are other examples in Srimad Bhagavatam. And so, yes, so this is not a lower process. This is the ultimate, highest process. And it's look very simple, but it's, yeah, it's not cheap. Okay, so yeah, just that point till here is clear. But is any question so far before we go further? Okay. All right. So we'll see the next point now or next para.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry,
Hmm.
my laptop is hanging a bit. Uh, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is always filled with transcendental bliss, Anandamayo Abhyasat. When he was present at Vrindavan in India 5,000 years ago, he always remained in transcendental bliss, even from the beginning of his childhood pastimes. The killings of various demons, such as Agh, Vak, Putana, and Pralamb, were but pleasure excursions for him. In his village of Vrindavan, he enjoyed himself with his mother, brother, and friends. And when he played the role of a naughty butter thief, all his associates enjoyed celestial bliss by his stealing. The Lord's fame as a butter thief is not reproachable, for by stealing butter, the Lord gave pleasure to his pure devotees. Everything the Lord did in Vrindavan was for the pleasure of his associates there. The Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry speculators and the acrobats of the so-called Hatha system who wish to find the absolute truth.
Yes. So yeah, here the main point is that the Supreme Lord of the Godhead, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a person, and he is always filled with transcendental bliss. So it is not that the God has to perform some process, or he has to follow some process to become God. No, he is God in every situation. So pure devotees of the Lord have different relationships with him, and Lord reciprocate with him, his devotees, accordingly. So childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, he is famous as a butter thief, Makhan Chor. So when Supreme Lord is stealing, that is also gives pleasure to devotees because he is perfect and his pastimes and activities are also perfect. But when we as a conditioned souls, we do these things or we do any activities or any actions, and that has a different results, because we are full of imperfections and contaminated with sense gratificatory desires. So and that causes the results. So we have to face. But while the Lord performs these pastimes, as Srila Prabhupada said that to give pleasure to his pure devotees. And another reason is to attract those dry speculators and so-called yogis who wish to find absolute truth. And this is another point to be understood, that when Supreme Lord perform any activity, that will achieve many purposes. And nobody can understand the Supreme Lord and his activities perfectly. So only pure devotees of the Lord take pleasure in his pastimes. So that's why devotees praise to the Lord in this mantra to remove his dazzling effulgence to reveal his face. Because Supreme Lord is a person. He's a personality of Godhead. So, and devotees have relationships. And other hand, the other processes, the um, like yogis and nanis, they have different processes. They follow different processes. So where there is a partial realization of the Lord, they realized, and they think that's all in all. That's a superior one, but it is not. And Lord perform these pastimes to attract them, so they can hear it and they get attracted by these pastimes. So these pastimes are so sweet. So what you call that? We take pleasure in hearing it. Again and again, we're discussing these pastimes. So that is the main point here, Srila Prabhupada explaining. Okay.
Of the childhood play between the Lord and his playmates, the cowherd boys, Shukdev Goswami says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, verse 11.
It's a Vachovegam meter.
Huh. Itham satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradevatinam mayashritanam naradarakirnam sakam vicharo kritapunya punjam.
Very nice.
The personality of Godhead, who is perceived as the impersonal, blissful Brahman by the Gnanis, who is worshipped as the Supreme Lord by devotees in the mood of servitorship, and was considered an ordinary human being by one-named people, played with the cowherd boys, who had attained their position after accumulating many pious activities.
Yeah. We'll just
Thus,
read another one as well.
yes, Ramji. Thus, the Lord is always engaged in transcendental loving activities with his spiritual associates in the various relationships of Shant, neutrality, Dasya, servitorship, Sakhya, friendship, Vatsalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love.
Yes. So this is the reference from Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 to 10 verse 12 verse. Chapter 12 verse 11. And the main point is here that uh, the Lord is perceived differently by different people. Like Jnanis wants to merge into Brahmajyoti, and which is actually comes from the Supreme Lord's body. But pure devotees go to get the chance to participate in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord after having accumulated the results of pious activities for many, many lives. that as Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. So yes, it is very easy, or it is not very easy to achieve that, but because Lord is so merciful, so he gives pleasure to his devotees. He comes and perform these pastimes. And there were another verse shared by His Grace Amrish Prabhu long time ago, when Lord Krishna and Balram, they entered in Mathura, where in Kamsa's assembly, and everyone seeing the Lord, and they perceived differently. So they seen different according to their relationship. According to their, as Srila Prabhupada explained in next para, there are 5 main rasas. Like Shanta rasa, neutrality; Dasya rasa, servitorship; Sakhya rasa, friendship; Vatsalya rasa, parental affection; and Madhurya rasa, conjugal love. So according to different rasas, pure devotees have relationships with the Lord. And it's not, we shouldn't be thinking that it's very cheap or cheaply achieved. No. As Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, is after many pious activities for many lives, they get the chance to participate in the transcendental activities of the Lord. So in this verse, this was the main point, that Lord performed these pastimes for and different people, they perceive differently. Yes. That's the one.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Since it is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavan Dham, one may ask how he manages the affairs of the creation. This is answered in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 14 and 18, 14 to 18. The Lord pervades the entire material creation by his plenary part, known as the Paramatma, or the Supersoul. Although the Lord personally has nothing to do with material creation, maintenance, and destruction, he causes all these things to be done by his plenary expansion, the Paramatma. Every living entity is known as Atma, soul, and the principal Atma who controls them all is Paramatma, the Supersoul.
Yeah. So this is the point that we discussed a little bit earlier, that how does this, although Lord is situated in his abode and his all the affairs in this creation, how? By his planetary expansion, as Srila Prabhupada is saying here, Paramatma. And the reference here is 13.14. Sarvataha pani padam tat sarvato aksi shiro mukham sarvataha shrutima loke sarvam avritya tishtati. Translation: everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and faces, and he hears everything. In this way, the super soul exists. So that's how Lord is aware of everything by his planetary expansion, super soul, because he got hands and legs everywhere. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower or a fruit or a little water, he accepts. If the Lord is a far distance away, how can he accept things? This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his own abode, far away from us, he can extend his hands to accept what anyone offers. That is his potential. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Goloka eva nivasati. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. So this is the all-pervading feature of the Lord, So yeah, so Srila Prabhupada explaining here that the all-pervading feature of the Lord. Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. and still he manages the affairs of the creation because he is omnipotent. So this is called omnipotent quality of the Lord. So although Lord is situated one place, but his planning expansion, everything is running smoothly by the Paramatma feature. Because Super Soul, the Paramatma, is pervading everywhere. Super Soul is aware of everything. And Super Soul is present in every living entity's heart. So he knows what we are thinking and what is our intentions are. So we cannot hide from Super Soul. We can hide from everyone else, but we cannot hide from the Super Soul because he's inside us. He knows what we're thinking, what our thoughts are. So because we are Atma, Super Soul, souls, and Paramatma, the Param Atma is a Super Soul who control all the Atmas. So we get controlled, and Super Soul is a controller. So this is the all pervading feature of the Lord, because by that Lord is controlling everything from his abode. Okay, so that is clear. Okay, let's see what next point is.
This system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sankhya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation, for they have very little information of the Purush, the Lord, and the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahmajyoti. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Sri Isopanishad points towards this direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranmaya Patra, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed, so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead. Factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved.
Yes. Yeah. So what are these 24 elements? Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, the 24 material elements of material creation, which are analyzed by the Sankhya yogis, materialistic Sankhya yogis. Because the impersonalist transcendentalists, they more want to merge in Brahmajyoti. So they are focused on Lord's impersonal form as a Brahmajyoti. But the materialistic, the Sankhya yogis who are analyzing these 24 elements. So what are these 24 elements? Are like five, first of all, like five knowledge acquiring senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. And then five these sense objects like sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. And then five working senses: hands, legs, genitals, anus, and mouth. And five material, these elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And four subtle elements like mind, intelligence, false ego, and this consciousness, contaminated consciousness. So these are 24 elements are analyzed by them. So they all bewildered in these. They don't go beyond, they don't have more information beyond that. So by Sankhya yogis and they do not have more information beyond these material manifestation. And next are impersonalists, and they are bewildered by the Brahma Jyoti, and they want to merge into Brahma Jyoti. But this mantra talks about going beyond these 24 elements and Brahma Jyoti. Only a devotee of the Lord can pray this to God beyond, to go beyond and want to see the face of the Lord. He knows unless this covering of dazzling effulgence is removed, he cannot see the Lord's transcendental form. And this is the highest realization of the Supreme Truth. So, yes. So this is the main point here, that we need to understand that what is the bhakti, the devotional service process is, and what is the other processes are. And it's totally like a different way. Although the other processes looks very hard, it's very, and they are very hard. It's not like very easy to do different yogas, and they're controlling senses, very suppressing them, you know. But in devotional service, the senses are controlled in a different way. They're engaged in the service of the Lord. So that's how they automatically are controlled. But it doesn't mean that we should be taking it as a cheaply. It's we still follow rules and regulations, and that makes it sometimes people find it difficult. But because it is simple, because we are complicated, that's why we find it difficult. So yes, is any question so far, or till here, about what we have covered? No. So we can read one more para, and then we can cover the rest of the next session.
This system of God realization is a
Sorry, the one we have already.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
The Paramatma feature of this personality, of the personality of Godhead, is one of three plenary expansions or Vishnu Tattvas, collectively known as the Purusharthas. One of these Vishnu Tattvas, who is within the universe, is known as Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He is the Vishnu among the three principal deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And he is the all-pervading Paramatma in each and every individual living entity. The second Vishnu Tattva within the universe is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the collective supersoul of all living entities. Beyond these two is Karanodakshai Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. He is the creator of all universes. The yoga system teaches the serious student to meet the Vishnu Tattvas after going beyond the 24 material elements of the cosmic creation. The culture of empiric philosophy helps one realize the impersonal Brahmajyoti, which is the glaring effulgence of the transcendental body of Lord Shri Krishna. That the Brahmajyoti is Krishna's effulgence is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 27, as well as the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 40.
It's a different meter of Brahma
Brahma
Samhita.
Samhita.
Yeah.
um,
Yasya Prabho Prabhavato Jagadanda Kotishvashesha Vishuddho Vasudhadi Vibhuti Bhinnam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Yes, Vijay. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadandakoti Kotishva Ashesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Bhinnam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Yes.
In the millions and millions of universes, there are innumerable planets, and each and every one of them is different from the others by its cosmic constitution. All of these planets are situated in a corner of the Brahmajyoti. This Brahmajyoti is but the personal rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govind, whom I worship. This mantra from the Brahma Samhita is spoken from the platform of factual realization of the Absolute Truth. And the Shruti mantra of Isopanishad, Shri Upanishad, under discussion, confirms this mantra as a process of realization. The Isopanishad mantra is a simple prayer to the Lord to remove the Brahmajyoti so that one can see his real face. This Brahmajyoti effulgence is described in detail in several mantras of the Mundak Upanishad.
Yeah, so we'll cover this, otherwise it will quite long. So yeah, so the first point here is that there are three primary expansion of Lord, the Purusha avatar here Srila Prabhupada are mentioning, uh, Vishnu Tattva, three Vishnus, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Mahavishnu, the Karnodakshai Vishnu. So the Paramatma feature, the super soul, as Srila Prabhupada explained, that the Paramatma feature is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu expansion. So that Kshirodakshai Vishnu planetary expansion of the Lord enters in every atom, every living entity in this material world. So that is the super soul. That's how managed. And before that is the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, where the Lord Brahma came from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Lord Brahma, and all this, the Brahmans, all the universes, they're coming out of Karnodakshai Vishnu, the Mahavishnu, who laying down in the causal ocean. So this is all information in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada are explaining here because because of these Purusha avatars happen. They're called Purusha avatar. Lord is Purush, Prakriti and Purusha. So these three Vishnus are the Purusha avatars of the Lord. And that's how Lord pervading as a super soul or Paramatma, and hold this universal, all the affairs of the universe is running smoothly. So there is other points because it's quite a big para, and I want to discuss those points in detail in the next session because it's only 5 minutes left on this session. So is there any questions so far, or what we have studied today, we have covered, or any point you have realized, or you have want to share any point? No? All right. No worries. So we will stop here, and rest of the purport we will cover in next class. And with the other references, I just want to discuss more points on that